Hello and welcome to Sprint 2.0. Today's session, we are going to discuss how Audi harnesses the full potential of Kubernetes with NGINX App Protect. I have the pleasure of having Sebastian Kister from Audi Group joining us today to have a conversation about his role at Audi and how they have used NGINX to accomplish their business goals. Hi, Sebastian. How are you?
Hi, Rajiv. Nice to meet you. Great to be here. Thank you.
Where are you right now?
I'm in the north of Ingolstadt, in home office, so to say. We're still not in offices, and we'll be waiting for a couple of months. But things are looking well, and we're prepared to go back to office again very soon.
Thank you for your time today and for joining us. I know myself included on our NGINX Sprint audience is really excited to hear from you. So could you tell us a little bit more about your role at Audi? What your role is, what are you trying to accomplish, and what does your Kubernetes Competence Centre do?
Yeah, first of all, I'm team lead of the Kubernetes Competence Centre at Audi. I also initiated the partnership of the Audi AG with the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, and we pushed through the process at Audi to be able to open source Audi intellectual property and contribute to open source projects as an Audi employee. Furthermore, I lead the OpenShift, All Brands Hands, which is a knowledge sharing enablement group of OpenShift users to create standard and security standards for the platform, share best practices, policies, and rules.
Got it. And then can you tell us a little bit more about how the software development at Audi is actually getting into the cars? Like, is there a connection with the cars and your center? Can you tell us how this is actually helping Audi?
Well, we are working even on a group level and a VW group level. So we're working with all the brands. We're working always with a group focus, not only an Audi group focus, but also really an VW group focus with the main brands Porsche, VW, Audi, and then also the smaller brands are very closely tied with us, which are Seat and Skoda. Yeah, and there are many more, obviously, Bugatti and MAN and stuff. So on a group scale, we try to establish standard platforms where people can throw their containers to, and especially those software teams that really just develop an app and have no idea about how to operate it. And those teams, we consult them and we guide them from the first line of code, also with operations in mind, so that they don't bring a container and we're like, no, sorry, but that architecture is really not fit for the job, and you will pay way too much. Also, we consult them about persisting in a cluster, for example, or doing an RDS on AWS, which is a managed database service outside of the cluster, connecting that with a public endpoint, for example. So we have a diverse set of services, which mainly are customer centric and consulting, which we call the professional services. It's just a professional services team focusing on consulting, enabling, and knowledge sharing. Of course, we onboard people and projects and applications to our platform. We have a VW platform portfolio for Kubernetes, and our team is responsible in the VW group for the use case multi-tenancy public cloud. So we're not doing on-premise. We consult on-premise workloads, especially those on OpenShift, and help harmonize like a lift and shift case from on-prem to cloud or back, or a hybrid case where you think of secret data is not allowed, for example, in the public cloud. Secret data must be on-premise. we can only go up to confidential data, which is a data classification level. We have internal, confidential, strictly confidential, and secret.
I
In
see.
the VW group, in Audi, it's one less. We don't have a strictly confidential level.
I see. I see. Thanks for that explanation. So, what were some of the business challenges that you had that led you to consider NGINX as part of your modernization journey?
Yeah, as I told you before, my most important focus was to be cloud agnostic. So I didn't want an cloud provider native firewall, load balancer, or whatnot. I wanted to be really have a layer of cloud agnostic middleware. So we strategically put the a control plane that can handle all the cloud providers in the lower layer, and above we put all the security scanning, container scanning, vulnerability checks, alerting, alarming, logging, reporting, all that on top of it. And obviously, one of the most important features to have an internet facing application use case. And most apps, like literally most apps, are internet facing, obviously. And therefore, we needed a layer 7 firewall, we needed a load balancer, and the package we got from NGINX was just very convincing. How we are working together, because it's not only feature rich. I mean, that stuff is on your PowerPoint slides. I don't need to talk about that stuff. What's more important to me is really how we're working together with your teams, with your engineering teams, with your sales, with your after sales teams. And it must feel to me not to have a supplier of software or supplier of technology. I don't want that. I want a partner. I want someone I can look into the eye and say, yeah, let's solve this together, right? Let's do this. And they've always been there for us. The team with Miguel and his developers and engineers, and they really helped us to integrate that, to automate it, and to enable our team as well with the software and technology. For example, I once asked Miguel, can you do like workshops for us? Can you offer that? I want to enable even more people, even people that are using our platform as a customer, like projects and workload managers. I want to invite them to get to know the technologies, the capabilities, to maybe get inspired by it, what we're capable of doing and securing, and what it's like. So we did these workshops, hands-on workshops, even with engineers from his team, and it worked very, very well. And I must say, this is the most important thing. Also with our customers, we want to enable our customers. We want not that they throw something over the fence and say, "Here's my workload, operate it." They like to do that, by the way. But then I take it and say, "Yeah, you come with me." And you learn something now. You learn how to write a Kubernetes manifest. First of all, you learn a lot of stuff. And once you've learned it, we can continue. And they are like spreading knowledge in their organization, which is very valuable. So we have like multiplicators, and we see ourselves as a multiplicator of culture as well, of doing that again, of knowledge, and obviously of which is the basic layer of just providing a perfect runtime, a very secure, robust, reliable runtime. That is our main focus, not 20 managed services on top.
Yeah. And your customers are folks developers at Audi? Those are your customers?
Yes, developers at Audi, Volkswagen, at CARIAD. We have a CARIAD team, which is the previous car software org. Those are responsible for everything like software in the car. That is the CARIAD joint venture from all brands.
That makes sense. I mean, I think for you, it's not just, as you said, it's not just the technology. It's also the culture aspect of whether teams can work together, whether security is a bottleneck or an enabler, because sometimes security can be problematic, just because developers want to move fast and they want to develop applications, but you need some sense of automation so that they don't feel like their speed is being impacted, if you will. So, can you tell us a little bit about any use cases, one or two use cases that you used it for? I think you said load balancing, you said layer 7 web application firewall. Maybe like share a certain kind of actual real life use case that you solved with it.
The most obvious use case is the IT security of an internet facing application. You just want to have a firewall in there, the stuff that you want to be in your cluster.
Yeah.
Also for shortcutting some complicated architecture with on-premise connection between brands, that is very difficult and very complicated. We have some direct connect stuff. We have some really diverse network in the entire VW group. So we're not talking only Audi. Audi alone is historically growing a lot between different. It's in China, it's in North America, it's in Mexico, it's in Brazil. There is something in Leipzig, in Ingolstadt, in Győr, in Hungary. And if you want to connect all these dots somehow at some point, it gets very complicated. So, and we also have old mainframe stuff. We have very modern technologies. So sometimes it's the easiest way to just make it through the internet, right? And avoid all the network impediments. And that is something that is a huge enabler. Like seriously, that you cannot imagine the network impediments. They're so huge sometimes that you just say, okay, we need to secure the public way. We need to go outside of the house, go on road and make that road safe. And that's where it helped really a lot.
So the proof of concept, I heard you did a proof of concept. What would you tell our audience? Why is it good to do a proof of concept, and how does it really help?
Oh, well, you never buy a car without driving it first, right? I mean, you can buy an Audi without driving it first, and you can buy an NGINX firewall without making a POC. Seems valid, right? But it just is very important to see if you have a fit in your use case and if you solve the problem, because it's sometimes people just make check marks like, hello, I security, I have a firewall. And that's a green check mark for them. So yeah, great. But you did not solve anything. If you have a problem that is not an Excel list with check marks and you want them to be green, and if you really want to solve these problems, then it's most important to test it, make a run and learn from it, learn how to use it, learn estimations about how much do you need to really implement it, to work with it, and also to get a guess about the maintenance cost, because implementing something might be fine, but maintaining and life cycling that stuff in your environment, and every environment is different again, so there are multiple factors, and to really have an estimation of what does it cost now, short term, midterm, long term, migration strategies, exit strategies, how do they look like? Do I buy a vendor login? Like, it's cheap in the beginning, but it stuck with me forever. Is there a migration easily possible? Can I plug this out, plug this in? And something like this are beyond the feasibility study of solving just this one use case I told you before. It's just a little bit more that we want to look at in a POC, which makes a POC obviously sometimes a little bigger than you want it to be. It's not so fast, but I want like a valid study from it. It's not an implementation that we want to reuse. It's just to learn with the solution, and in this case, we even reused it. It worked perfectly. So
Great. That's amazing that you were able to just reuse your POC. That's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your deployment experience with NGINX, plus with App Protect, NGINX App Protect, the WAF, Web Application Firewall. How did the deployment go? Was it easy? Was it quick? Or did it take some time? Like, share with us some stories around deployment.
actually, it was not a problem. It was very easy, but it's not the deal. And the automation is the deal, and the policies and the enforcement and that stuff is the deal. So you just put in a tool, and then you have a tool. And that's not a problem. And about the policies, that is something where we really had to go and seek best practices as well, define our own policies, and brainstorm and look deep inside the system as well. It was all possible, and it was all fine in a reasonable amount of time, but it took a lot of work. But it has nothing to do with the technology itself, because deployment is easy, and automating that deployment is something we've done as a prior one. So it was the fastest automation we did in our toolbox. That is, for example, the Kubika toolbox for the Kubika O stuff. There we create all the automations for the container image scanning, runtime scanning, and also the NGINX tools.
Yeah. And then going forward, Sebastian, how do you see NGINX helping you going forward? I mean, you've done this implementation, where you're headed in your organization, your goals and your sort of aspirations. How can NGINX help you with that?
Obviously, with the automation, we have security, kind of, with our own operations team in a different place of Audi. We have it as a service, so to say, like security as a service here. This keeps off our minds of that part, so we are like free to explore and make a feature-rich platform as well for our customers. It really, this is like we feel fine. We automated everything. We have an ops team behind it. This is done, and this really frees up our resources, time, and money that our team puts into the different priorities that we have at the moment.
Excellent. Yeah, what I heard you say is that it's allowing you to focus on innovation and making a feature-rich platform, and not so much worrying about if it's secure, because you have the right processes, automation, and security tools in place to do so. Did I hear that right, Sebastian?
Yeah, exactly.
And then most of our Sprint audience is also on a modernization journey with Kubernetes. And so would you like to share any advice for our audience, our Sprint audience, around any advice around people wanting to move to Kubernetes?
Yes, obviously, you can get lost. It's something that is nothing for small projects, to be honest. So if you want to learn it with your small project on a local machine, fine. Yeah, that's good. We do that actually in the Audi Academy. We teach Kubernetes in Audi, and this is one part of our strategy of enabling a knowledge sharing, also to do that in the Audi Academy. But it really just makes sense for bigger workloads, organizations that need this rich environment, also that they need autoscaling. And once we are talking about big organizations and autoscaling, don't forget the licensing of third-party software, that it can autoscale, so to say. And that's also something I can talk to every sales department and every technology vendor. Make true up license models. Not don't kill the most important feature of Kubernetes by third-party licenses that are like capacity here, and then you're auto scaling, and it says, no firewall for that. So that's something I really can advise you to in your procurement and buying processes. Talk to them about true up license models.
Thanks. I'm sure the audience is very appreciative of that advice. And then, what is the one last important thing you'd like the NGINX Sprint audience to take away from your experience?
It's not really Kubernetes related. What I find most important is to empower the people that are passionate about a product or a technology or a business goal, about anything, that are passionate. Empower passionate people. And it doesn't matter if they have the right CV for your HR department. It just matters if they have a good heart in the right place and passion in their veins. And then they can achieve anything.
Great. Thank you so much, Sebastian. That was fantastic. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much, Reggie, for having me. It was a pleasure again to be here for F5. And thank you for your great team assisting us in all our endeavors. We're very
Yes,
happy to have you.
you're most welcome. We look forward to, deepening our partnership.
Thank you very much.